Hello, today I'm reviewing Disintegration by The Cure. So, Disintegration, The Cure, these are pretty classic things, album, band, whatever, you get it. Let's just get straight into the sound, right? First track, I think I almost fainted listening to that shit. That shit's pretty phenomenal. Pretty top tier stuff. Maybe one of the best intros I've ever heard. It's very, there's like a clock almost. I wrote some notes, chimes. There's like these chime sounds faintly, and then it just drops you in. It feels like the whole album can be described. Most of the songs can be described this way, by the way. It sounds like you're sinking or drowning, but like it's hella cinematic. It's like it's beautiful, even though what's happening is kind of fucked up. Just all the instruments, all the instrumentals, they do something to it where it just feels a bit hazy, a bit like watery. It makes it beautiful. Everything blends and kind of flows. You know, music nerd shit. A lot of the album is about love. Sometimes I think it's about drug, but a lot of these songs kind of just take on different forms of love and how it is tearing whoever's singing about it apart. I don't know if the singer who's of the band, if the songs are about him or just like there's a character or whatever, how love is just tearing this person apart or how love's affecting this person negatively. And then especially on the second half, those songs seem a lot more connected than the first half, but the second half, like that's just how this love is literally like destroying this person. It's disintegrating them. Get it? I'm gonna say right away, I think the second half's a lot better than the first half. My reason for this is I feel like the second half is far more focused and the songs are a lot more connected. There is this thing on the first half where I think the first three songs, especially, feel very connected. They all have this very hazy, watery production I was talking about earlier, and they're all about love, and they're so good, dude. They're so good. Pictures of You, Plainsong, Close Down. I love every single one. The drums on Close Down, banger, right? The Cure does this thing on every single track on this album. Just pay attention to it if you listen to the album again, or if you haven't yet. Every single song, I swear to God, almost like on timing. They almost always have an instrumental that's exactly 2 minutes long. Or it's not exactly, but almost every song here, the instrumental leads for 2 minutes and then they start singing. And I'm not complaining. The instrumentals on here sound amazing and they're able to build up to a point where it feels comfortable for the vocals to come in that late. My issue with the first half and with a lot of the singles that came out for this album, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I believe the singles that came out before this album came out were Lullaby, Fascination Street, and Disintegration. Maybe I'm tweaking, but I feel like the production on those just feel a lot cleaner than a lot of the other songs on here. As I said before, one of my favorite elements about the first three is just how hazy and watery it feels. And on those songs, it feels a lot cleaner. It's not like a horrible drawback. It's just something I noticed that kind of takes me out of the album a bit, but nothing that serious. And while I like a lot of the songs in the first half, I think Love Song is great. Even the production's a bit clean. I think Last Dance is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, with Plainsong as well being one of my favorites. I think Fascination Street and Lullaby are just, I don't know. I just feel like they don't stand out. They definitely have their place in the album. They just feel a bit off in comparison to a lot of the other songs in the album for me. Again, I still think they fit. I think a Lullaby especially, it's just the subject matter of Lullaby is, one, a bit fucked up, depending on how you look at it, and two, just feels very different than what they were talking about in the rest of the songs. So it is what it is. Fascination Street for me is just like the least interesting song in the album, like by a long shot. I just think it's kind of the most boring in my opinion. It's not bad. I just think when you got an album like this where so many of the songs are like amazing, maybe some best songs ever, you feel me, doesn't live up. It doesn't equal out. That brings into the second half though. I love the second half. I love how everything kind of leads into itself and how it almost feels like its own separate story. Prayers for Rain being our character, whoever is in the lyrics, talking about how like they're kind of fucked, this like love is destroying them and they're praying for rain, and then Same Deep Water as You starting with rain noises and thunder. Genius, they did it again. And Same Deep Water as You, I absolutely love. I'm kind of amazed how fast that song goes by. A lot of the lyrics are very spaced out and the whole song feels very spacey, and despite it being like 9 minutes and like a lot of instrumental parts, it goes by like that. It's so fast. This also applies to Pictures of You. That song is like 7.5 minutes and that shit feels like 2. It's amazing how good the songs are on this album. And then of course the title track, Disintegration, is probably lyrically and vocally speaking the most devastating, especially that kind of super long lyric vocal part about halfway through the song where it just sounds like it's all coming to a head. It's like too much for the character, and he's finally fully disintegrating. And it's just a beautiful, heartbreaking song. And it could be about a lot of things. I feel like based off the lyrics, maybe about like drug abuse and a failing relationship, and how those two are kind of playing with each other to kind of just destroy him. I don't know. And then Homesick is a song I also greatly enjoy. I really love the instrumentals on there. I love how reserved the vocals feel on Homesick as well. It feels like he's like trying to just, it's like he's coming back to be like, hey, I'm I'm sorry, my bad. And he's like really shy, I guess. And it's a very interesting difference compared to what came before it. And it almost feels like Homesick is almost like he died and he's like saying his last goodbyes, or maybe he's just moving on and came back for a hot sec. Untitled, the final track, is it my favorite on the album? No. Do I like it? Yes, because of what it does. It's maybe the most upbeat, but it just feels like a final goodbye. It feels like a peaceful farewell. It's definitely the least tense song in the album, in my opinion, and it just feels like a send off, but it's supposed to be positive. And reflecting on it and being like, yeah, you know, shit's fucked, but I'll catch you later. And it's just very lighthearted. I say that with heavy quotations because this whole album's relatively in sound and themes pretty dark, pretty gloomy. So it just feels relatively lighthearted, more like a final goodbye, right? Honestly though, I've loved this whole album. It's amazing how dreamy and spacey this album was. I'm kind of surprised I never heard people say this is dream pop, because this definitely feels like dream pop to me. I don't know though, you know, I don't, whatever, genres don't even really fucking matter. But from start to finish, I just feel like I'm floating, I'm ascending, but backwards. I feel like I'm sinking. You're dying and drowning and sinking in the most beautiful way possible, if that makes sense. And Plainsong is one of the best intros I've ever heard. Yeah, I will say though, as I said before, I think Lullaby and Fascination Street just stand out a bit, but especially Fascination Street, I just feel like it sticks out in the track list. And for the outro as well, why I think it serves its purpose pretty well. I would be lying if I said I didn't think it was just slightly underwhelming in comparison to the combos we were getting on the second half of this album, especially Disintegration to Homesick. It feels a tiny bit weak to end the album on. I do think it makes sense, but yeah, you know, Fascination Street, the outro a bit weak. Lullaby feels a bit off. Singles sometimes feel a bit off. Fascination Street though, I just think is very mediocre in comparison to the rest of the album, which is top tier stuff. So for those reasons, I'm gonna give Disintegration by The Cure 8 out of 10 probably. That's what I thought about the album. Tell me what you think about the album Disintegration by The Cure. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you like it for the same reasons I do? Do you like it for different reasons? Do you not like what I said? You know, what fucking ever, just say whatever you want in the comments. Next review is Homogenic by Bjork, whenever that fucking comes out, hopefully soon. Join the Discord in the description if you feel like it, and thank you for watching wherever you are. Have a good day, night, evening, morning, week, afternoon, and goodbye. Yeah.